constructed the Enlightenment, we've come to believe that there can be some type of individual that pre-exists any particular context within which that individual finds himself or herself. And the gravamen of Charles Taylor's work is notably about the rootedness and rootedness both historically and culturally of all of us. To say I am a person is actually to make a claim about my relationships with other people. It's not to make a claim about my separateness. And so what I was trying to do in the paper, and you helped me get a clue as to how I might be able to frame the last part better, is to point out that the human being is the site within which multiple relationships are constantly going on, and we make sense of ourselves in the way that on any given particular issue, one set of our relationships feels more important to us than another set is. So if we have to make trade-offs, it's not that we are acting as atomized individuals. We're acting as members of communities, and we're acting as engaged with other people in projects. And I have to make that clear in the last part of the paper. So thank you very much.
Who hasn't had a chance to ask a question? Who wants to? I wanted to go back to the process a bit. And all of the questions have been kind of germinating in my mind, along with what you said earlier about the genesis of the article. But something that Noel mentioned about the fact that this is very deep for a lot of us, and it draws on so many different conversations, is how is this a different paper than something you would have written when you were starting out? I mean, obviously, you did start out in some ways with this kind of subject, and this one has waited until it was ready, and it's not the same as it would have been then. But if you were someone sitting around this table, how is it different being you now?
Well,
when will Noel know that his paper is ready? When and when will he know what goes in the footnotes and how to structure things, and how will the structure be different when he's speaking to a group like this in 30 years? What does go into the text and what goes into the footnote? How has that sort of thing changed?
Let me respond procedurally before I get substantively. I would say that the one do not do in any writing and reflection is self-censor. Don't say, this is crazy, or this doesn't belong here, or what will they think of me if I... Odds are, when you ask yourself that question, that's the most important idea you have. And that's that which we think we're being conditioned to write in a particular form, in a particular way, with a particular set of references. Transgression is the first step to liberation and creativity. I don't think I got very deep into my academic career before I took that on as an article of faith. I would recommend that be your watchword. If it feels crazy, it's probably central. Because another slogan, which I hope I could leave you with, is the last refuge of a person who has nothing to say is to say it clearly. Because by the time you've got to saying it clearly, you've squeezed anything that's worth anything out of it. So there are a couple of procedural points. As to the substance, how are you different? thing that happens is you come to see connections in the various dimensions of your life that aren't apparent. And one of the great liberating aspects of taking a non-positivist view of the world, it doesn't have to be a legal pluralist, but a non-analytical positivist view of the world, is if you don't have an ex-ante criterion to say this is where law stops and the rest of the world begins, you just keep asking questions until you run out of time or energy, and you just keep making connections until you're exhausted, right? And then you have all of this burbling, blooming, buzzing confusion in front of you, and you begin to think about how it fits together and doesn't fit together, and where the connections are. It's a bit like what we know about effective primary education. The best teachers at primary level are the teachers who are able to induce their students to provide wrong answers. Because teaching through right answers gives you no sense of the intellectual protocols that your students are going through to get to the right answer. You either as teacher or them as students. They just 2 + 2 = 4. If they say 4, you don't know whether this is just memorized and they don't know how to apply it. You don't know what the protocols of addition that they might be using. But if the student says 2 + 2 = 5, then as a professor or a student or a teacher, you work through those protocols of inquiry and understanding, and students learn how to take an understanding over here and migrate it to some other aspect of their life. The same is true of your research endeavor. You should never think about a research endeavor as having to produce the perfect text on the first iteration. Right? Garbage as a first iteration will produce the finest text at the end of the day. I don't mean total garbage, but what I mean is inconsistencies, incoherences, things that don't work together. If you have a community of readers and friends who are able to engage with you in good faith, this is where you learn, and the how comes are what it is that makes it possible. So how do you know when it's ready? It's ready when you have enough of the most obvious inconsistencies off the table that it looks coherent, but it's not so coherent that the text doesn't have unresolved tensions. You never want to get to the point where it's just pablum. Scholarship is not producing IKEA instructions for assembling tables. And the big mistake we make when we move into graduate studies is to think that the IKEA template for producing a memo for a law firm is the appropriate template for scholarly research. It's not.
That's a great way to end. I just wanted to also, I forgot to mention and thank the Law Foundation of Ontario, without whose funding this today would be impossible, and also the CLSA. I just wanted to point out that the Deb Parks, the president of the CLSA, is in the back, so I encourage you to...
So wonderful.
I got it.
I encourage you to speak to her if she's going to stick around, and to speak to Raj during the break. But maybe we can all just thank Raj. That was really amazing.